In 2023, a global treaty agreed to phase out dental amalgam fillings entirely by 2034. The Indian Health Service, the U.S. government's own health system for Native American communities, announced that it will stop using mercury fillings by 2027. And the EPA has opened a formal review of whether amalgam should be banned in the United States. I actually didn't need the government to tell me that there were issues with it. I learned the hard way, and I'll share that story with you in a minute. But today I want to talk about what these admissions actually mean, what mercury fillings do, and most importantly, what you should do if you have them, because there's a right way and a very wrong way to handle this. So, I have been practicing for 29 years now. I placed mercury silver fillings in dental school and I removed thousands of them early in my career. I was a cosmetic dentist. I was removing these fillings because people thought that they were ugly. Well, today, Total Care Dental, my practice of 25 years, is mercury safe today. I'm going to teach you what Mercury-Safe means. I'm going to tell you how I got to where I am today. And I'm going to teach you what you need to look for if you are choosing to have your fillings removed. This isn't philosophical. This is what I do on a day-to-day basis here in my practice. I'm not here to make you scared. I'm not here to frighten you. I'm not going to tell you to run out and get all of your fillings removed tomorrow. In fact, I'm going to give you the facts and tell you when you should do it, how you should do it, where you should do it exactly, and why you should do it. My story is one that I really don't want to ever have anyone repeat, whether inside of the profession or outside of the profession. So, you as a patient or any dentist either. I was very happy as a dentist. I'd been practicing for about a decade and was doing a lot of great work. We were really taking good care of people. We were providing the kind of dental care that I felt proud to really provide. But I wasn't feeling very well. My health started to really suffer. And again, when you struggle with health issues, you don't often know where to start. I didn't either. So I just started visiting doctor after doctor after doctor. The first symptoms that popped up were gut issues. I stopped being able to eat some foods. Well, when that happens, what do? You clear out your pantry, you throw away all the foods that everyone says you shouldn't eat, you start changing up what you're doing. And we did that. And it helped some, but not a lot. It got to the point where I even couldn't drink water without pain at times. So there was something really wrong there. The next symptom that popped up was memory problems. I've always had a good memory. I could remember a patient's name and their story and their history and even their birth date for years. And I stopped being able to even remember their name as I would go room to room. So this was a drastic change for me. The third one that was really life-altering was numbness. I had painful pins and needles numbness all the way down my hands, down my arms, into my shoulders. It made it so I couldn't sleep at night. I would have to sit up on the edge of my bed and shake my hands all night long. I couldn't do anything where I had to raise my hands, like blow drying my hair or brushing my teeth. I stopped being able to do a lot of the things I loved, like gardening and cooking. My hands just couldn't do it. But the big one was I was starting to lose dexterity, and I couldn't hold my dental instruments the way I needed to be able to do the kind of dentistry that I believed in. When it got to this point, I didn't know what else to do. I had been to so many different doctors. They'd given me so many different ideas, and nothing had actually helped. So I put my practice for sale. And we were desperate. This was our entire income for our family. My husband worked for the practice as well. We had 4 young kids at home. We really didn't know what we were going to do moving forward. So I learned a lot about nutrition. I thought, well, maybe I can teach nutrition in a dental practice somewhere. So I reached out to a dental practice that did that, had a nutritionist in the practice, and asked this dentist how they were doing that, how it was working. And he stopped me and he said, "Your symptoms sound so much like mine. Have you looked into mercury poisoning as a possibility?" That was literally the first time I had ever heard those words. Because in school, I was taught that if I told anyone the mercury in their fillings was affecting their health, I would lose my license. That's what we were taught. We certainly were never taught that the mercury in those silver fillings that I was removing could actually lead to serious health problems in me. And that's what it was. I pushed back a little to this dentist. I said, "Well, I don't have any fillings." I knew that silver fillings had mercury in them. I was trained that in dental school. All dentists are. And he said, it's not the fillings you have, it's the ones you've been drilling out with no protection for the last decade. Isn't it worth getting tested? It was one thing that I hadn't had tested, so I got tested, and that's what it was. Mercury toxicity off the charts. Now, when I finally realized what was happening, I went to a doctor, said, how can I get this out of my system? And they said, the biggest thing is you can't keep removing them the way you're removing them, doing the job you're doing, and expect to get it out of your system. You can't keep putting it in while you're trying to get it out. So I had to figure out, was there a different way to remove fillings? I still believed that they were important for someone to get out of their mouth. We're going to talk about that in a moment. And I found there were protocol to be able to do this safely for both myself and my patients. Also, what I'm going to teach you here in just a moment, what you need to be doing. Well, I wish that this was a happily ever after, very quick story, and that's not what it was for me. It took me about 8 years to detox that mercury that I was really suffering from, and those symptoms didn't completely resolve for a lot of years. Now, when I figured this out, I was a mixture of angry that my profession wasn't talking about this at all, and it had impacted myself so personally, but also relieved and a little worried. What else in dentistry did I not know? And what else in dentistry could impact health so greatly that I wasn't informed about at all? This is not something that dentists at large know anything about. So I am actually grateful for my story and my experience now, because now I can share with you the things that I know. So what do you need to know? And what is the government finally admitting? Well, there are some things that have been very interesting just as of late. In 2023, there was the Minamata Convention that said that there was going to be a global phase out of dental amalgam by 2034. 140 plus countries signed, including the U.S. The Indian Health Services committed to be mercury-free by 2027. This was a policy decision, not a proposal. The EPA changed what they talk about when it comes to mercury fillings or amalgam, silver fillings, whatever you might want to call them. They are now classifying and treating them as hazardous waste. This is the same substance that we've been dealing with for over 100 years, the same material. But now it's hazardous waste. In 2020, 2021, there was a new FDA guidance that said that amalgam fillings should not be placed in high-risk groups, including pregnant women, children under the age of 6, people with kidney impairment, people with neurologic conditions. Well, anytime I hear that, my next question is usually, why should it be in anyone, if not in those people? So where does the American Dental Association stand on this? Well, I can tell you their current position. Their current position is that amalgam or silver fillings, the mercury fillings we're talking about, they are safe for most patients. However, they acknowledge the FDA guidance that I just talked about, that they shouldn't be used in high-risk groups. How does this balance out? How can they say that they're safe even while faced with different guidance, different classification, even countries saying that they're going to ban it? Well, here's the most important piece you need to understand about the American Dental Association. In the 1990s, there was litigation against them for this and other issues. And at that time, the American Dental Association stated that it had no duty to the public regarding amalgam fillings, regarding other things that are controversial inside of dentistry, which is true. The American Dental Association is funded by and paid by the dentists. That is who they are accountable to, not to any of you that are watching this. So this is a legal argument. It is not a scientific one. You can go and check that out yourself. It is a part of the public record that the American Dental Association stated they had no duty to you. So what they say is not necessarily what you need to know. Remember, all of the institutions that have defended amalgam for over 150 years are now one by one updating their positions, including the EPA, the FDA, and just governments in general. So let's get into the details about these fillings just a little bit. Those fillings that you might call silver fillings or amalgam fillings, they are 50% mercury by weight. Well, if you didn't know that, you actually are one of 76% of Americans that don't know mercury is in their silver fillings. This is still not known. But every dentist knows that there's mercury in those fillings, especially because we actually have to have something called a mercury separator on our dental lines. When we suck things out of your mouth and it goes down the pipes, we have to have a separator that pulls that mercury off. So obviously, we know that mercury is in those fillings, but you don't know this. 50% by weight. And now research does show that that vapor from that mercury is released continuously, 24 hours a day, even while you sleep. Unstimulated fillings mean even if you're not chewing or grinding or doing anything, they still release mercury vapor. Now, mercury vapor is a big deal. The World Health Organization called it one of the top 10 chemicals of major public health concern. It affects your nervous system, your digestive system, your respiratory tract, your immune system, your kidneys, all of the above. So, what might symptoms look like if you have mercury fillings in your mouth? They're releasing mercury all day long. What might it show up as? Well, some common symptoms are fatigue, cognitive fog, basically that brain fog issue that I was having, memory issues, digestive problems. Any of these sound familiar? This is all what I had. Tingling in the extremities, my hand issues, mood changes. And it mimics so many other conditions because a lot of the things that I just described, we could also have other causes for. So a lot of times they just put another label on it and say, oh, it's this. You have IBS, which basically means your stomach isn't working right and we don't know why. But they don't ever say, open your mouth. Maybe you've got a few fillings in there that could be contributing. I'm a dentist. I know what health looks like. And I still missed it in myself for years. That is how insidious this is. So, what do you do about it? Here we are. Let's get into that. What do we do about it? I'm going to give you 3 steps right now. Step number 1, don't panic. First of all, we really need to make sure that you're doing this the right way. So take a breath. You have some time. Here's the good news. Mercury in your fillings is actually more stable than vapor released during removal. So, the most dangerous time is when those fillings are removed. The worst thing you could do is just go to your corner dentist, whoever you've been seeing forever. They don't have any of the safe protocols. They don't use any of the equipment that you need to make sure that that removal process is safe for you. And you are going to get a whole bunch of mercury into your system during that unprotected removal appointment. So that is the worst thing you could do. I would rather you leave them in your mouth than have them removed in an unprotected way. So what does it look like to do it right? This is step 2. You need to learn the difference between mercury-free and mercury-safe. So I was a mercury-free dentist for years. I just didn't like the way these fillings looked. I didn't think they were great for teeth. They actually crack teeth. They lead to a lot of leakage issues. So I stopped placing mercury years before I actually had these issues personally with mercury. I was mercury-free. And honestly, most dentists in the US today are actually moving toward that mercury-free place. They are not placing any more of these fillings. But that is very different than mercury-safe because mercury-free, I was still removing old mercury fillings with no safety protocols in place for myself or for my patients. Mercury-safe is completely different. So when that doctor looked me in the eye and said, the only way you're going to get better is if you figure out a way to do this in a different way, I had to start looking. And I found an organization called the IAOMT that had protocol already in place. It's called the SMART protocol. And some of the highlights of that protocol is we use a rubber dam in your mouth so it keeps the chunks from getting into your mouth. We use a giant vacuum that goes right here at the base of your chin that's going to suck a lot of those vapors away. We use a couple vacuums in the mouth. We cover your nose, we cover your skin. All of these things need to happen, as well as filters in the room to suck all of that away. That is what it should look like when you are getting these fillings removed. And I'm going to tell you, it looks very different than your routine dental appointment. So the IAOMT, that stands for International Academy of Oral Medicine and Toxicology. It's a lot of words. You don't need to know that. But they actually train and certify dentists in this smart removal protocol. They actually have a practitioner directory as well. So if you go on IAOMT.org, they're going to have a directory of dentists who've been trained to do it the right way. We also have a directory on our Living Well with Dr. Michelle site. Go there, it links to dentists that I have personally vetted. And we also, in the description, talk about which procedures they offer. And if you are anywhere near Utah, right here at Total Care Dental, we are always Mercury-Safe. There's links in the description. You're going to be able to find them there. And we have people fly in from around the world to have us do it the right way as well. So if you don't have someone near you, but you really resonate with some of those symptoms and think, I think this might be my problem, it's time to get them removed the right way. So the institutions, they're moving, but slowly. For the millions of people who still have these mercury amalgam fillings in their mouth and they've never been told what's in them, this moment matters. You don't need to panic, but you do need to be informed. And if you decide to have your fillings removed, you absolutely need to do it right with a dentist who follows the SMART protocol and actually protects you during the process. I've linked Total Care Dental below if you're in Utah and the practitioner directory if you're not. If you want to see what this actually looks like, we have pictures and descriptions on that Total Care Dental website. Please check it out. I hope this has been informative for you and has helped you understand things in a way that I didn't, because my goal is always to help you live well.